Hi, Kerala again. Remember I told you I'm going to do a second video, a second update on, writing a 5-paragraph essay. But I also told you that there was a book that I love, especially when you're talking about vocabulary. And I told you a book that I love much more than any other type of dictionary or thesaurus. And it's called The Synonym Finder by John Rodell. I don't have any stock. Right? I don't know this man. I don't know if he's alive or dead. I think he's dead. But I don't know. I don't know anything. But I know I love this book. I love this book because it really gives you a word and it gives you all the different possible other words that could have the same meaning. Right? But it lets you know that in one circumstance you may use the word, but in another circumstance it wouldn't fit. That the two words don't have the same meaning. Because, words have more than one meaning. Right? So, therefore, you have to be careful. And it also lets you know, for example, that even though the words have the same meaning, they might not have the same meaning culturally or socially speaking. Right? There's a difference between saying children and kids. Both are talking about little people. Right? But children is much more standard English. So maybe it would be okay to use that in your formal college level essay, okay? But maybe kids wouldn't, because kids is a much more informal way of saying little people, okay? And of course, if you say boys versus girls or boys and girls, then you're not just talking about them being little people, but you're also talking about their gender, okay? So this book, I love it, okay? It's called The Synonym Finder by John Rodell. As I said, I have no stocks, nothing, okay? I just love the dictionary, and whenever I give a class on writing, I always recommend this to my students. Okay, so let me put this over here, and let's continue. So you can see I have my legs, right? But I've taken out the other legs. They're on the side here. And this says structure, this says grammar, this says vocabulary, this says punctuation. I've talked about this. Okay. Now what I want to talk about is critical thinking, and I want to talk about the audience. And I think that's where a lot of the students who look at my videos and they write me back and say that my videos have been very helpful, and I'm very glad, but this is where they might fall short or fall down. Okay. Critical thinking is very important. Let me explain what I mean. You can have everything right in an essay. You can have the structure. So you can have your thesis statement, and you can have your introductory paragraph with your thesis statement, with your three sub-thesis statements. And each sub-thesis statement becomes a thesis statement of the body paragraphs, right? You have all that correctly done, right? You have your conclusion done. No problem at all. Your vocabulary is fine. No problem. I mean, you could use better words, but that's a process. Just like writing is a process, right? As you read more and your vocabulary expands, what you write expands, right? Okay, so you can have that correctly, and you have your punctuation. Maybe you make a mistake with this comma and that comma, but in general, no problem, right? You even use semicolons, okay, or colon. Right? So you're really advancing when it comes to punctuation. Okay, so you have your structure, okay, you have your grammar fine, you have your vocabulary up to par, and your punctuation. But what you write about are the reasons that you give for what you're writing about. Doesn't really make sense. It's not up to the academic level. Let me give you an example. Let's say you want to prove, or you want to demonstrate or persuade me to believe that a college education is not the most important thing that a person needs to be successful. And I think that's a very valid topic, right? I think we need to discuss, why do people go to college getting all these student loans, and for the rest of their life, they are burdened with student loans? Did they really need to go to college, right? Our society should think about that. why should one go to college? So I think it's quite valid to say, as a thesis statement, that one does not have to go to college to be successful, right? Or one could even say college can prevent success. I'm not going to argue with that, okay? Because I think some people go to college in order to hide, so they don't have to deal with the real world. But whatever. Or you can say college success is, college studies are the only way through success. Any way you want to put it. So that's not the problem. But here's the problem. But let's say the evidence that you state, that you put for why college is not necessary is, well, your mother didn't go to college and she was successful. You know a lot of people who didn't go to college and now they make lots of money. Right? And you know people who went to college, right? Who did the 4 years and they got a bachelor's degree in X, Y, and Z, and they are poor. You can't use those as sub-thesis statements. Grammatically speaking, there's no problem. Vocabulary speaking, there's no problem. Structure-wise, you structured them well, but you're not showing any type of critical thinking. Telling me because you know people who did X, Y, and Z, and that's a valid reason, it's not valid. Not at a college level, and I would even say not even a high school or middle school level. You have to do research. You have to do research and to look at from a much more universal perspective. Now, why is it that maybe college is not necessary or it is necessary? Right? Just because you know some people, how many people do you know? Let's say you know 1 million people. Let's say you know 10 million people. I don't know how you could do that, but let's just say, what is that in relationship to how many people are, for example, in the United States? I think there's 350 million. Of course, not all of them go to college, right? And the people you know, are they concentrated in one group, one class? Of course, I don't think one gender, but you never know. Or one whatever. And how well do you know these people? So using the wrong type of argument to prove your point is not critical thinking. You have to do research. You have to actually look up and find information on your subject matter. Because you might find that you say X, and then after you've done your research, it turns out to be not even Y, but a house. Something totally different than what you thought. And this has to do with the audience. If you're doing an essay for an English teacher, like, you know that you're going to have to do a very good job. Probably because the subject matter she's giving you, she's done a lot of research on it. Right? So you just can't give her anything, or you just can't give him anything. So if you're going to say, for example, that United States is the best country in the world, or United States is the worst country in the world, or France is the best or the worst, or whatever, right? First, I don't necessarily like, essays and when you talk about this is the best versus this is the worst, but let's say you do it, okay? I think that could be valid, right? You have to show me what United States has, or France has, or Nigeria has, or Haiti has, or the Dominican Republic has, that no other country has, and that it benefits their citizens. You can't just say, well, because I'm from there, and my friends are from there, and we love that country, and, we do X, Y, and Z, so that's why it's the best country. If you're talking to your friends outside, fine, that's valid. But if you're writing an essay, a 5-paragraph college-level essay, you have to think critically. You have to be ready to change your mind, and you must take in consideration your audience. If I'm your audience and it's my job to critique what you have written, then I would do the necessary research so that you won't have any problem. Well, this video is going a little bit too long, so I'm going to have to stop. So maybe that might be a reason why some people, even though they follow my advice as far as structure and grammar and vocabulary and punctuation, still have problems. Think about it. Think about thinking critically, and always remember your audience. Who is your audience? And how will they analyze, or how will they accept or understand or interpret what you have said? Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day, and don't forget, I'm going to come back and give you my tweet. I think it's Coralla McLean at Twitter or something, right? And remember, I tweet on hair, and I do Instagram on hair, because I think hair is a very, especially black women hair, black women's natural hair, is a metaphor for a lot of things in this society. And I have people send me their pictures. But that's another story. We'll talk about that later. So thank you very much. And everyone, you have a beautiful day. Thank you.